This is a different. This is a different.
This is definitely not the same as chilies.
You can't sue me.
Today we're making loin back ribs, aka baby back ribs. We're gonna be building layers of flavor with a homemade mop sauce, and we'll be finishing these Memphis dry rub style. All right, I've got a rack here of baby back ribs. We treat these pretty much the same way we would as some spare ribs. They just tend to be a little bit leaner than a spare rib. That's about the difference. And they also come from, like, I think higher up on the pig versus the spare rib comes lower on the pig, closer to the belly. Anyways, we got baby back ribs. So all I'm gonna do is just a little bit of cleaning up here. There's some of this excess meat here that's like kind of hanging off. I know it's just gonna cook weird, and we can just square this up for the sake of presentation. Also, if you know the dimensions of your grill, now is a good time to make sure these will fit. Any flaps like this right here, just go ahead, trim it off. All it's gonna do is burn and not be fun to eat. And then of course, just like with our spare ribs, there is a membrane here. If you want to, some people don't mind it. I do, it's just a not fun chewing experience. So I'm gonna come over here, just kind of get that up. Start pulling it back. If it tears like that, it's fine. Just grab another piece of it and try to get as much of it off as you can. Boom, and now our membrane is off. You don't need a binder. Traditionally, binders are going to be like mustard, but today I'm gonna use some Worcestershire sauce because I'm curious if it will help. Like, the idea of a binder isn't to add to flavor, it's really just for the seasonings to stick, but I'm curious if this Worcestershire sauce will add some umami to the ribs. So I'm just gonna use it as my binder today. You don't need a lot, just enough to kind of get it coated. And then I am coming in with 2 rubs. So this recipe is a combination of like 6 different recipes, which is pretty much how I always cook. I just combine a bunch of things and try to find a way to infuse my own little take on it. So today, my seasoning choices are going to be the Heath Riles collection. I have first the Heath Riles garlic jalapeno rub. It's just a good all-purpose with a little bit of heat. Just the right amount of heat. So we're going to hit that with a layer of this rub. You don't have to go crazy heavy with it, but just get a good coating. We'll kind of come back around. And then I've got the Heath Riles sweet barbecue rub. This is really going to help bring in some of those Memphis flavors. And like, you can use any rub you want. Just make sure it has a good paprika base to it and it has like a good amount of sugar. Pretty much, again, sweet barbecue is what you're looking for. And this, I don't mind giving a good coating on it. Don't forget these sides. You can either do it now or you can do it later. And of course, this is the back side, so I'm not gonna go that heavy here. Just pat it in, don't actually need to rub it. Then, let's flip it over. Do the exact same thing on the other side. Let's get that W sauce down. And coming right back again, the layer of the Heath Riles garlic jalapeno rub. You can use any all-purpose rub here. Hell, you don't even have to use an all-purpose rub. I just like, again, building these layers of flavor. And because this is our presentation side, I definitely want to do a heavy coating of the sweet barbecue rub. And we'll come right back. Just give that a good pat. And then I'm just gonna let this hang out here while I get my grill fired up. I'm cooking on my Traeger Timberline today. You can use any smoker, set it up 250 degrees indirect cooking. I think I'm using hickory wood today, but you can use pecan, you can use whatever favorite wood that you have. And I just wanna let this sweat. We're gonna allow this to get the meat sweats, which means our seasoning is working. So, I don't know, maybe like the next 30 minutes, it's just gonna hang out here, and I will see you on the rooftop. All right, so I have got my rib on the grill here. We allow it to sweat for about a good 30 minutes or so. You can go longer if you want to, maybe up to an hour. You can also season these like the night before if you want to. Just put them up in the fridge and let them chill there. But we've got this on here, and one thing I have done is, so with my grill, the heat comes directly from the center. So the center is the hottest part of my grill. It comes directly from the bottom here and goes up, and then all the other shit happens. This part of my rib is way thicker than this part. So what I have done, knowing how my cooker cooks, is I've put the thickest part of the rib directly over the center where it'll be the hottest, and I've put the thinnest side offset towards the cooler side of the grill, so that way this won't burn or dry out, and then this won't undercook. So that's the reason why I did that, and that's just a little FYI for those of you who have maybe a rib that's not of even thickness. So that's what I did there. But we're gonna close this up again. 250, got hickory pellets here. You can use whatever you want to smoke with. And I want to check back on this in an hour, and I'll tell you what we're looking for, which is pretty much to see if our rub has set in. So 1 hour, we'll be back. All right, it's been 1 hour. Checking on our ribs to see if our rub has tacked in, and I believe it has. A good way you can check is just put your finger on it, look at it. If it comes off dry, that means you're good to go. So for the next phase of our baby back ribs is I have put together a mop sauce here. It's just some vegetable oil, some red wine vinegar, some Worcestershire sauce, some apple juice, and of course some barbecue rub. I used that sweet barbecue rub that I'd used earlier. And we're just gonna use this on a brush, and we're gonna hit our, let me see if I can do this without making a mess. And we're not really brushing, more we're just kind of just letting it kind of rest on top of it. We really just want that liquid just to go in there, but we don't want to brush it in because we don't want to disrupt the rub that we just set in there. So this is gonna allow us to keep our rib moist, but also build layers and layers flavor. And we're not going to wrap these ribs. Normally I would, but we're not doing that today. We're going to let these cook all the way to their finish. It's going to take probably about 5 hours. And what I'm going to do is every 45 minutes, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to give these a good basting. Come back down here and make sure I get these sides. So yeah, again, every 45 minutes, and 4 hours from now, total, I will probably come here and actually start checking and making sure it's done. Two things I'm looking for: one, pull back, disintegration, so the bones will start kind of showing out, and the other one, I want to be able to pick it up and then be able to lift up the center of the rib and have it feel like it's almost going to break. And if I pick up the center while the ends stay still touching the grate, that means it's tenderized enough. So every 45 minutes, mop. We'll be back in 4 hours to see how we're looking. All right, it has been a couple of hours. I just want to show you the progress we're making. As you can see, we're building nice layers of flavor. The color is getting beautiful. This still has probably another, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour to go. Every cut of meat is differently, so you can't go by hard times. You can only go by feeling temperatures, but this is looking great. So I'm gonna baste it one more time with our mop sauce, and then from there, I'm gonna start checking on tenderness. All right, it has been a total of 5 hours. Here are our ribs, and this is the good test. First off, visually, if you remember how it looked like earlier, now we have all the bones starting to show out. And if I were to turn these over, you'd see disintegration, which just means like the bones are showing a little bit more on the backside. But the best test is a simple one. Grab the ribs in the middle, pick it up. If it starts to try to break, which it already is, but you pick it up in the middle and the ends are still touching the grate, that means your ribs are done. So let me carefully get my hands underneath this. Woo! Onto this sheet. We're gonna get it down. We're gonna let it rest for at least, about 10-15 minutes. Really just kind of letting it cool down enough for us to handle and cut up. And that's it. That is it. Baby back ribs, baby. All right, it has been 5 hours. It is time to get our ribs ready to feast on, but Memphis dry style is what I said we're gonna end this with. So Memphis dry style is very easy. You just literally take your ribs. We didn't sauce them, we didn't wrap them, we didn't do any of that. We are gonna take our dry rub, again, our sweet barbecue dry rub, and we're just gonna hit the top of it with it. And that literally makes it Memphis dry rub style. Now, you can argue about, all the different type of ways. You could wrap, you could not wrap, you could do Texas style. It doesn't really matter. Does it taste good? Is all that really matters. And so we're gonna find that out. So let me turn this over because it is much easier to cut these ribs when you do it that way. I'm gonna cut in the middle. And then I'm gonna cut a few pieces. Even on this backside, you can still hit it with a little dry rub. And that's why it's important to have a rub that you really, really like. So, without burning myself, let's eat one of these. That's a good motherfucking rib right there. Oh, as far as the pour choice, my pour choice is a very, very simple bar staple. I've got some Maker's Mark. We're doing Memphis dry rub ribs. Might as well have some Tennessee whiskey, and then just some ginger ale. Again, there's a lot of things you can have with this. That just felt more appropriate for the day. And that was probably about 1.5 ounces of whiskey. And I don't know how much ginger ale to the top of this glass here. But that has been Poor Choices Kitchen. Hey, listen, we have a Patreon linked in the description. If you want to, you can absolutely donate $1 a month. It helps us tremendously with cooking all these recipes. But other than that, let me know what your mop sauce recipes are. I'm really curious. This was a really, really good one, but I'm always looking for ways to just build layers of flavor. So if you have a mop sauce, please drop it in the comments. Let me know how you do your mop sauce. And also, if you make this recipe, let me know how it goes for you. But Poor Choices Kitchen, I'll see y'all here next time.